Hi, and tell us about your dog Ellie. What kind of service dog is she, and
Yes.
what kind of dog is she?
Yes, so she's a pit bull. She's the love of my life. She's a service animal for PTSD, anxiety, panic attacks. I personally do not have any of those, but I'm an educator and an instructor and a title holder, so I bring her everywhere I can to talk about invisible disabilities, who she is as a pit bull, and stereotypes around that. So she is my life.
I would like to know how you graduated college in 3 years debt-free.
I took a lot of summer classes in community colleges. I am a huge advocate for community colleges, and I also worked as the president and vice president of the Association of Residence Halls, which is basically like the governing body for people in the halls. So there came with a stipend as well. And obviously with the Miss America organization, you get a lot of scholarship there. So I was blessed to graduate both with my undergrad and now my master's completely debt-free.
Oh, wow. Obviously, you're very well-rounded, but what would you say is, have you read things on self-development? What is the best thing you've ever read? What is the thing that's helped you the most?
I love self-development. I think I might have written that somewhere on my resume. I love podcasts, and as someone who's really into fitness and teaching, and not having a lot of time as a title holder, being able to do two at one time is very important to me. So I listen to Powerhouse podcast, self-development, things like that. I love Deepak Chopra, all of those that allow me to listen and self-develop while I'm doing other things.
And so, name a few things that you've learned from some of those people.
Yeah, a lot of it is imposter syndrome. As a woman who is a title holder and in higher education, I suffer with that a lot. And really taking time to realize that we've put the time to get here. We are worthy, and our own negative intrusive thoughts should not be the thing that keep us back. And one of the best things I learned was, if someone came up to you and said that to you, how would you take it? You probably wouldn't say, oh, you're right, like, I'm horrible, you're right. You would be offended that they came up to you and said such horrible things. So you should not say that to yourself, and that is something that I carry with me every single day.
Tell us about the children's books and the characters around those.
Yes, so my roommate's actually illustrating them right now for me. She's an art major, and Carly the Cactus was my first children's book, and it was something that I wanted to write because talking about adversity, specifically the 5 pillars that I focus on, are hard for younger generations, especially if they don't have personal experience with adversity. So Carly the Cactus basically just talks students through bullying, how to be the bigger person, and when you come out at the end with all the flowers, still share those with those who are a little bit negative to you. And there's a QR code on the back of my resume, actually, if you haven't had a chance to scan that yet, that brings you to my link tree that has my Instagram, the Carly the Cactus books, and all of the resources that I post for surviving adversity.
What are the 5 pillars that you just mentioned?
Yeah, so there are the 5 that affected me most growing up, because obviously adversity is so large, it's hard to encompass. But mentorship, mental illness, food insecurity, poverty, as well as addiction. That's what I specifically work through, mostly because my mother's addiction at a younger age kind of made all of these other adversities come up with it. Incarceration, low income, poverty, homelessness, because of that one adversity. And so I realized when I was talking about addiction, all of these other avenues of my life were so important too. So that's why I have 5 pillars of surviving adversity that I work majority through.
You also mentioned gun violence affecting the younger generation. So aside from the fact that the students who are at a school where there's been a mass shooting are going to go through hell, basically, what do you see as the mental health effects on the entire younger population in this country from the fact that we have so many school shootings?
A school is always supposed to be a safe space. That's why it's open for every single person to go and learn and grow. And just from the younger generations worrying about if you're going to graduate, not how or what grades you're going to get, if you're actually going to even get to that point. And that's something that some younger generations as kindergartners are asking questions about. I have a 5-year-old girl I mentor, and I had to have some really awkward conversations with her when we were doing pageant mock prep because of that. But another thing that I pay close attention to as an educator is how that affects me and how that affects more educators going through school. It's already hard enough to find teachers, as you all probably know, and then telling a 13-year-old who wants to be a teacher that she might get shot or have to own a gun, that's going to deter them. So there's a lot of mental strength and that comes with all of the active shooting that's happening within schools, because I think there's more than 20 that have happened in the last 2 weeks.
So to follow up on that, do you think teachers should be taught to shoot and have guns in the classroom?
I am a farm girl. I'm a FOID card owner myself. I think that you should have the right I think that if you feel confident enough to hold that firearm as a teacher, you should be able to do so. But as someone who's gone through the training, I would never hand that to someone who does not want to do that themselves. One of the most important things we have as Americans is the right to choose. So allowing them to have that handgun if they want, if they're FOID card holders, that's a choice that they can make.
There have been many initiatives across many decades of addressing childhood obesity. What would be some ways that you would attack childhood obesity?
One great way is through service learning. So service learning is an aspect of civic engagement, which basically means getting students out in education, out into the world. And one way you can do that is getting them active as well. So teaching them things that keep them active and healthy, but also allow them to get something out of it is what I've found to help younger generations. When you take them to a class that's maybe walking for fitness, which is what I took, which is why I talk about it, we all had plastic bags and we'd walk while we were walking for fitness and just pick up trash. And it's really easy, and it's an easy way to stay active, but it's something that makes them realize that you can be busy and active and still giving back through civic education.
You were a 3-minute thesis, top something finalist, top 3 finalists. Give us a brief synopsis of your 3-minute thesis.
It's a very long mouthed word. So I focus on mediated immediacy and student perceptions of instructors, which basically is eye contact, we language, making students feel like they are included. And so my 3-minute thesis, we basically came up and gave our whole thesis in 3 minutes and why it's awesome in front of a PowerPoint. And basically I ended with, we need to make sure that the first thing that they see when they walk in a classroom is a smile and eye contact, because that may be the most important thing that they see.
With social media, there's a lot of positives, but there are some negatives. And as you grow in popularity and get more followers, you may find some people bullying or saying negative things about your appearance or something you did they didn't like. How are you able to get rid of that where it doesn't affect you mentally and emotionally?
Yeah, that actually just started recently for me. I'm trying to post a lot more on TikTok to get surviving adversity through civic engagement out there, because that's one of the biggest platforms that affects our youth, and mentorship is a huge aspect to that. But I try and take a step back and realize that they don't know who I am. They are a lot of times saying things that are just false. One example is I posted a video of a monologue that I was doing for my talent, and I got, that's not a talent, anyone can do that. And instead of taking that with hurt and changing and feeling bad for myself, I just wrote back and like, hey, I'm a PhD instructor and researcher. Here are all the ways that communication is incredible, and here's how you can move people through your words and it matters. And I don't know if I changed their opinion, that's not my job, but knowing that I was able to educate them and take that to heart in something that uplifted me was really important.
Yeah, you've obviously done a lot of work with trying to uplift people. So I have a really tough question here. The little girl who was in the Uvalde school, who was standing next to her best friend and left that room covered in blood and guts, how would you even start to deal with what she's gone through and her future?
Yeah, I've never lost someone that close to me, but I have lost a couple people, and the one thing I'll say is that you're surviving for a reason. You are standing for a reason, whatever that may be. It's a horrible, horrible event that happened, and I'm not going to justify it in any way. But you're still standing, you're still surviving, and however you had to get there, you got there. So please, every single step you take from here, remember your friend, remember the teachers, remember the lives lost, and take that as you move forward to change more people's lives. Because there's nothing that I can ever say that makes grief go away, and to make that image go away in her mind. I know that. But allowing her to move forward in peace, knowing that she's here for a reason, she survived, and she should be doing good with that.
So you've spent a lot of time on college campuses with your degrees. I was curious, do you feel that all of these student groups, there's a group for everything, is more divisive or creates a more inclusive community?
I think it's very inclusive. At Illinois State University, we had somewhere around 302 registered student organizations, all the way from American Democratic parties, politicals, government, to squirrel watching and cereal eating club. And I think they're a really inclusive place because it gives... I know that becoming Miss Illinois doesn't happen overnight, and my life, as difficult as it may have been, helped mold me into a Miss Illinois I would have looked up to and needed. I am so ready for the job of Miss Illinois, and civic engagement has saved my life on more than one occasion. And because of that, I've dedicated the last 9 years to pouring my time, talent, and treasure back into those around me. And I'd be honored to share my story of surviving adversity at the national level.
Thank you.
Thank you.